Tonight on The Edge, a racist rampage in a Monroe neighborhood.
It goes from racial slurs to some other unintelligible comments.
A drunken night takes an ugly turn. A belligerent man ends up with a giant gash on his head and a night in jail. The big eastbound 696 two-year closure has been delayed.
I think I was a little disappointed to see that there wasn't more support for preserving the building.
Some folks wanted to declare the Rensen a historic site. It turned out to be a tough sell. Those stories and more right now.
This is The Edge.
The Edge at 11 starts now.
Well, sometimes the picture tells the story, and the gash on this man's head, well, it only tells half of it.
As Fox News' Jessica Dupnack tells us, it started off with an attack on two little girls in Monroe he didn't even know.
This is one of those stories that just keeps on going and going. Earlier this week, Jeremy Rose chose his old neighborhood to terrorize, and he would not let up. This is the star of our story, 41-year-old Jeremy Rose. Quite a mugshot. He allegedly picked Tuesday to terrorize his old neighborhood, randomly hurling horrible racial slurs at two little girls.
It goes from racial slurs to some other unintelligible comments about narcotics and some off-the-wall kind of things.
Buckle up, it's just beginning.
He continued to engage and come onto the property of these people, and the altercation turned physical.
As neighbors came out, he picked another victim. A woman grabbed onto her, tossed a booze bottle at her house, then someone stepped in and put Rose in a headlock.
He just didn't want to listen, and he wanted whatever he was on his own plan. Whatever he was trying to do or trying to accomplish, we don't know.
The booze bottle might be what they call a clue, and possibly something even more behind this tirade. Monroe City police on scene wrangled Rose into their car.
Unprovoked, he starts kicking and ramming his head into the side of the car door of the police car, causing damage to our cop car.
And clearly damaged his head. Look at that gash. But he kept on keeping on, all the way to the hospital.
He turns around and spits into the face of one of our officers, into the arresting officer's face.
That's assault.
It is an assault.
Checked out and then sent to lockup, where apparently he gave corrections officers a heck of a time before whatever he was on wore off.
This is a guy you want off the streets here in Monroe.
We do. This behavior is not tolerated here.
For now, he's charged with drunk driving, breaking and entering, and destroying property. Also, finally facing the law on some old domestic charges, given just a $10,000 bond.
You look at how any situation could escalate. I mean, thankfully in this situation, it didn't escalate more than what it did.
Even with that relatively low bond of $10,000, Rose is still in lockup at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, where he awaits his next court date. Reporting in Monroe, Jessica Dupnack on The Edge.
The Detroit mother accused of killing her 9-year-old son and then burying him in a side yard, then driving to Georgia, will return to Michigan tomorrow to face a judge. 41-year-old Brandy Pierce is charged in the homicide of Zamar King. The boy's body found in January outside of their home on Woodingham. Investigators say he was killed in October, and his mom moved out of the house in November. She was caught by police near Atlanta last month as she was investigated for child abuse of her 4-year-old child. According to the Wayne County prosecutor, the allegations against Pierce are among the most callous cases of child abuse she's ever seen. Investigation continues after the deaths of 2 children found frozen inside a minivan in Greektown.
Now the city of Detroit is making changes hoping to prevent a tragedy like this from ever happening again. 9-year-old Darnell Curry and 2-year-old Amelia Curry were found dead earlier this month while sleeping in a minivan with their family. Mayor Mike Duggan says the city's immediate shelter system was implemented last December, but the family had reached out for help a month before that. The city has revealed a 7-point action plan, doubling the number of drop-in beds, expanding its helpline to 24 hours, and requiring site visits for families with minors.
This cannot ever happen again. There is no point in having an immediate shelter system if the people who most need it don't know about it.
As for the impacted family, the city has helped provide them a new home. An investigation into the kids' deaths remains open.
The 2-year closure of eastbound I-696 in Oakland County will kick off soon, but not as soon as we initially thought. The project that spans between Lasser and I-75 was expected to begin Saturday morning, But due to the weather, that has been delayed. The freeway will close at 9 a.m. Monday instead. Make sure you keep that in mind if it's part of your morning commute.
Well, guess what? Tomorrow's going to be a milder day, but then the colder air moves in for the weekend.
Oh, Captain Rich standing by with our forecast. Rich?
It's that crazy Michigan weather. You know how it is. Today wasn't a bad day. We made it into the middle 40s. We did have some late day showers, some evening sprinkles, but they have all fizzled out. So it's going to be a dry night ahead. All of the action has shifted off to the east. So we'll see a few breaks of sunshine to start your Friday. And then it turns windy. How about temperatures up near 50 degrees by the end of the day tomorrow? But the weekend, much colder, and then we do have some rain down the road for the middle part of next week. How about today? 47 and 35. There are your averages. There are the records. There's your rainfall total. Just a little more than 1/100 of an inch, so really not a lot. There were a few wet flakes mixing in as well. Right now it's dry out there. A lot of us in the mid to lower 30s, and those numbers will drop a bit more with that breeze from the west and northwest. 34 Grand Rapids, 28 in Pellston, but that big purple blob up here, that's the cold air that's waiting to come down our way, and you'll see the instigator for that. It's going to be low pressure tracking through the Great Lakes tomorrow north of us, but it does open the floodgates for a blast of cold air to come down Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, into Monday morning. You'll see it all in the 7-day forecast. Breezy and cool the rest of tonight, down to 29, back up to 51 tomorrow with a blustery day in store. And then right there, the 7-day, 29 and 32 for Saturday and Sunday. There's that rain for the middle part of next week. A full check at 4 a.m. Roop Taryn, back over to you.
All right, Rich, looking good. A new push tonight to preserve Detroit's Renaissance Center.
A group wants it protected from demolition, but it's an uphill climb. Fox News' Dave Kinchin with the story.
I think I was a little disappointed to see that there wasn't more support for preserving the building.
Christopher Gongoria and his group Preservation Detroit want to put the Renaissance Center in a local historic district status, giving it protection from even partial demolition. But they were handed a blow from a Detroit City Council subcommittee who aren't going for that idea at all, amid plans to knock down 2 of the towers and modernize the complex into something like Chicago's Navy Pier.
At the very least, it is an icon of the city, and disfiguring it will be irreversible, and we need to take a pause and understand what that will do. It's also a waste. Within a half mile of that building, there's 3 new skyscrapers under construction, and then now we're proposing to put 2 skyscrapers existing in a landfill with no consideration for what value they might have to us in the future.
Preservation Detroit says the RenCen is as recognizable a city icon as the Old English D, and designating it a local historic district will stop even partial demolition. This after building owner GM and Bedrock unveiled a plan that knocks down the 2 towers closest to the river, redesigning the rest into a combo of affordable housing, updated office space, and walkable land that connects downtown to the riverfront.
Okay, so you make it a historic site, then what? What do we have after that?
Mary Waters is an at-large member of Detroit City Council and says she plans to vote against the measure that gives the RenCen historic district status when that action reaches the full council for a vote next week. She says the city simply cannot afford to keep all of the campus buildings without some beneficial use.
We need a building that Detroiters can enjoy. We need economic development, economic benefits.
And the full Detroit City Council is set to vote on that historic district designation on Tuesday. In downtown Detroit, Dave Kinchin on The Edge.